thank everybody for the time. I wanted to start this. This is a path that we start today, and we will keep going on constantly to update investors. We have, let's say, entitled our moment is delivering a profitable growth. As you have been reading on the RNS that we have done so far, Zaim is growing very fast, very well, but always keeping an eye on the profitability. So we grow and we are profitable, which for us is a big proud. Sasha, let's go. Just a quick overview. We have 46 million shares outstanding. A bit less than 70% is on the holding, so it's not floating. 30% on the market. We are listed in main market in the standard, and the stock price grew 64% in a year. This is not at the moment, probably is not the things that we are much more focused, because our focus was on the company's profitability, but it's anyway important. We have 3 distribution channels, which is a directly managed retail network, online channel, and from few months mobile application. We have provided almost 1,450,000 of loans. 473,000 clients, and 77% of loans come from recurring clients. And fourth in this presentation, but now we can say 5 quarters in a row, we are delivering a profitable growth.
Next page.
Yes. Briefly, an operational overview. Zaim provides loans according to the microfinance license, with maximum allowed size 30 million rubles, which is 300 pounds more or less, with an average ticket of 7,500 rubles, which is 75 pounds. An average duration of 20-25 days. We have a daily rate which is set by the central bank. This is very important because we are vigilated and regulated, which is 1%. And we do this in 26 stores in Moscow region, online infrastructure, which makes Zaim able to operate all over the world with a Russian citizen. And now, from few months now, we have the mobile app, which is the same as the online can theoretically operate all over the world with Russian passport bearers. What's happening now is that the mobile app is important because it's opening. It's more than a milestone. The mobile app is a gate to a new level of services, the loyalty program, and the full digitalization of processes, and in the future also artificial intelligence. This slide is something that we show from a long time, but it's important to see that there is consistency in our technological profile, which we are constantly improving. The platform developed internally in Zaim can operate any and all electronic and physical systems that are allowed in the country within the whatever is allowed by the central bank. In 2017, Zaim was the first company to issue its own MasterCard tailored for microfinance clients' needs. And this card was something very important because it was the first step to open the online services to people that are normally neglected to this. In May 2021, 4 years later, we have launched a mobile app that works both on iOS and Android. And thanks to the app, we are experiencing already that there is an improvement in profitability. We are broadening the client base, and we are starting a new phase of development, which goes to the data collection and data processing, and a next generation of services that we are going to release on the market starting next year. Sasha, the presentation. Okay, sorry. How is company growing? The company is going pretty well. What you can see in this graph is the amounts we are issuing and the default rate. The growth is keeping stable for 5 quarters now. As you have seen in the last RNS, the Q3 shows 196% growth on the same period of the previous year. 196 is quite good growth, but very important, it was profitable. In the Q3, the growth was 196 versus Q3 2020 and was 8% versus the Q2 of 2021. It's important to say 8% because, as I said in the previous communication on the Q2, I was announcing that we are going now to keep consolidating the results that we have achieved. We are keeping the growth at a good pace, but also we want to improve now the level of profitability and cash generation. I think that to have a healthy growth, we also need to start consolidating, and it's something that is happening now. And it's keeping also on the Q4, but this we will see a bit further. The mobile application, which has been launched in the previous quarter, has already created a transformation in the distribution channel. It is now representing up to the 8% of the loans issued in September, which, just to give you an idea, is quite close to what is being issued in the same period by the stores. And it's just in the very early stage. So this shows the great opportunities that we can have with the mobile app. The online business channel now is 89% of total business volume, and continues to be the main engine of the growth. Zaim considered that it has now successfully completed the first strategic goal that we commit ourselves at the IPO period, and we can say now that we are a predominantly digital lending company. We used to be a physical store company at IPO time. We asked investors to trust us and to give us money to move to online. And we can say, and we are proud to say now, that the target has been successfully achieved. A few words on the graph. As you can see, we have the orange line is the default rate and the weighted default rate, and the green line is the volume of loans issued. You can see that two things very important. The COVID didn't change the attitude, the repayment attitude of clients. This is very important because we always say that Zaim is not correlated to the macro trends of the economy. Zaim is completely decorrelated from the market, from the market trends, because we operate and serve people that are trying to solve basic problems, and this is something that has nothing to do with the macroeconomic scenario. During COVID, we had a drop in the business, and this has accelerated the migration to online. And then the growth has been constant and persistent. Now, as I said, after 5 quarters, we are in a quite good position also in terms of market representativity. Few highlights. We have achieved an outstanding growth in the first half of 2021 with the extremely encouraging profitability. As you can see, this is the interims we have published. The business we have issued in the first half of 2021 compared to the previous years are 178% more. But this 178% is almost everything given provided by the growth of the online. Online has been 13.6 times what was the previous year, just to give an idea. The net profit of £230,000 versus a net loss of £1.3 million in the previous year. So this gives the magnitude of the profitability recovery. The different business models are the difference is in the business model, because we are growing and we are keeping a stock of fixed cost which is stable, and this will be going forward. The staff cost decreased of 25% despite the growth. Operating expenses reduced 10% despite the growth, and in first half of 2021, the online business is 86% of total loans issued compared to 17% of the previous year. This is quite, at a glance, is the synthesis of what company has done in 1 year, but can give the sensation of what is going to happen in the coming years. We are proud to say that we have been growing and solving the problems that have been raising every now and then. As I always said, we have a very resilient company. The team is very strong, very committed. We have detected and addressed 3-4 serious problems that we found on the way, and despite this, you can see quite good results. Now, talking about this is something very important for me, from my point of view. We are living a unique market opportunity. Russia has a lower financial service penetration than virtually other European countries. 70-75% of Russians' population have access to bank account, and 15% of adults have a credit card. The finance industry, the microfinance industry in the Russian market is less than 3% of adult population, while in other markets it ranges between 5 and 10%. The Russian population has a very healthy in terms of indebtedness compared to other countries. The Russian household debt is just 21% of GDP compared to 88% in the UK, 78% in the US. All this to say that Russian market is still at its initial stage and is destined to grow by multiple of its current size. It's growing by over 30% a year, adding around £1 billion of loans issued per year. The combination, all this is happening while the number of players is reducing. If you look at the graphs on the right, you see the number of bank licenses that decreased from 956 in 2012 to 386 situation of 2020. The same for microfinance, 4,200 in 2014, 1,385 in 2020. And the combination of these two things give us the clear sensation that we are living a very, very unique opportunity. The market is expanding and the industry is consolidating. We have, or we think we have, the good capability of operating in this market. And we perceive we have a clear competitive advantage with other players. This is proven by the fact that we are overperforming the market. So the combination of a growing market and a consolidating industry creates an outstanding growth opportunity for Zaim to outperform the market. So now, what's next? After 18 months from IPO, the first key milestone has been successfully achieved. Zaim is no longer an offline retail-based business. Zaim is now a successful multi-channel online fintech business with exponential growth. Zaim is profitable. This was the first commitment the management has undertook with investors at IPO. Zaim today is fintech platform operating on 3 channels: online financial offering, mobile app, 26 directly managed dedicated stores. The combination of the 3 factors opens the door to a broad range of new services and products, which we can call Zaim 2.0. We have a favorable market environment, and what I've been telling you now is happening in a market scenario where market is growing 35% year on year. It has now achieved close to 3 billion pounds of issued loans. New products and services will further expand the market because we see that new services are arriving to the market as well as we are seeing in Europe and in the US. Regulator, the Central Bank of Russia, is constantly including all of them within the MFO regulatory framework. This is very important. We have Zaim is compliant to a very clear and transparent and solid regulatory framework. And the fact that central bank is regulating the services when they arrive give us the possibility to operate them within a competitive scenario that we are familiar with, and we know we are in a good position of advantage. This creates an additional unique opportunity for Zaim to grow and expand within a clear and transparent market. Just an example, many of you already know that, or have seen that all over Europe, let's say over the world, the new service of the Buy Now, Pay Later is exploding, let me say. It started in, let's say, non-regulated form in Russia. The central bank has communicated to all the companies to refrain from operate because they were monitoring the service, studying and creating a regulatory framework for the service. For us, we consider this a great opportunity because once the central bank will release the service, we know that we will be able to operate it and to compete with people we already know and to have a competitive advantage. This is just as simple to support that our estimation is that market can grow 10 to 15 times its current size to 30 or 45 billion pounds. And Zaim is ready to capture a good slice of this growth. We have been constantly improving every let me say on monthly basis or even with higher frequency. All the things that we have done has been constantly monitored and improved. Is a constant growth, and now we are ready to compete with a competitive advantage to versus the market for all future services that are arriving. What I said before is, let me say, synthesizing this graph. Zaim growth rate versus market growth rate. It's clear we have a competitive advantage, which is provided by the platform, but the platform means also people. We have a good team, very good team, and I don't want to spend too many words. This slide is self-explanatory to my point of view. Market and sorry, just a final word. Market, the growth of market is now stable and persistent from 2011. Now here we got just some quarters, but these are the quarters that are relevant for us. So we think that we have the opportunity to find our sweet spot and enjoy it. Sasha, please. So we are working. What we are doing now, it's the first commitment has been achieved. Zaim became online. Now Zaim will become a digital company. We are working to create new powerful functions in the platform, which a full digitalization of the processes, the geolocalization, the big data mining and processing will support business both on existing services and new ones. We are looking at new lending services, title loans, which are asset-backed loans with very high profitability, POS loans, soon when it will be ready, buy now, pay later. But we are also looking at non-lending services, fee-based, like insurance, microinsurance, of course. Bank service distribution within the stores. This is very important because some banks are asking Zaim to distribute their services within our stores because they have been forced to close their branches. So Zaim can be not just an agent because Zaim is vigilated. So this is just the start of a path that can be extremely interesting for profitability. Co-marketing activities, cross-selling activities with merchants and other operators, and data processing. All this, let me say, is happening because we are working on these chapters and on this program. As well as we did last year, we will soon make an agenda to release all these things over the coming quarters. But all this, it's very important, is happening with always the same philosophy. First, profitability, growth, and then expansion. Let me say, I think that blue sky is the limit. Briefly, I think most of you know that the team, but I want to spend a few words on of the composition. We have the board of directors, where myself, I serve as a CEO, along with Vladimir, which is a CEO, and Simon, finance director, Paul, which is a non-executive director, independent non-executive director, with a huge and experience on the lending industry, and Malcolm, that is our chairman, and I let me say I'm very proud to cooperate with Malcolm. The way he's leading us through this period has been extremely a great experience for me. The board of directors is, let me say, the seniority of the company, because I think that the fintech is an industry made for young generations, young people, but there is a strong need of seniority to give consistency. The combination of the two is important. We have the team. The team is young people, very committed, very focused on what they are doing. These people are all on the 30s out of blood. We are introducing other people in the team, especially for the step of the digitalization. This team is focused on running the existing business. We are creating already a dedicated team for the new services, and let me say the Zaim 2.0. I've invited here Artemi, that is the first member of this team and the person that is overlooking for me all the operations that we are doing. But yes, we have a good combination between seniority and youth and enthusiasm. Now, all I've told you is anyway looking at social responsibility. We think that a combination of financial burdens and with technology has become the real digital divide in the societies. Zaim platform is conceived to ease the access and resolve the divide, providing people with bank cards and easy access to financing allow them to use the services that would be normally impossible or extremely complicated to get. Mobile app will furtherly expand this opportunity. Customers need credit card to enter the online world. Zaim credit card is considered to be the key tool for inclusivity. Lending to people heavily neglected by the banks gives them another chance. So, investment opportunity. The market is growing at 25-30% year on year and is forecasted to grow further in the coming years. Significant investment in the business is now resulting in a scalable growth and profitability with multiple growth platforms. The competitive scenario is offering a sweet spot for Zaim to grow and increase profitability. Despite the strong growth, Zaim shares are trading at significant discount compared to other fintech peers. The upgraded business model and platform enables Zaim to provide additional services within Russian market or in any other country in the world, because it's very important that you know that all we are doing can be scaled and replicated in any other country when will be the case. So basically, I went through a very short presentation of what has been happening and what we see for the future. I hope that you find it interesting, and if you have any question, I'm here and available.
Thank you, Ciro. Look, we're happy to take questions, but potentially I could probably go back to one of the slides, maybe on the recent financials, I think, and we can start there, because I think they reflect the growth of the business and the health of the business. So over to everybody else on the call. I think you're all on mute, but you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, please.
Okay, if it's possible, I'll start with questions. And a couple of questions on, well, first of all, I'm very curious to know which countries you are thinking could be suitable for your, let's say, business model once you go out from Russia. And the second, if you have any hint for when it will take place, the approval by the Central Bank of Russia for the buy now, pay later scheme. Thank you.
Well, at the moment, the first question is about which country do we think suitable. We haven't yet studied the case because it's at the moment we are focused on what I showed you in the next generation of services. But our system can be scaled in any country. We could look at European, Eastern European, or Southeast Asia. It's the system can be operated in any other country. Just a matter of assessing the regulatory framework and integrate it in the platform. There would be a beta phase. It's not something we see now. We see maybe in the midterm. For the next 12, 18 months, I think that the next stage is the digitalization of Zaim and the business. Then we will look at about the central bank regulation on buy now, pay later. I cannot make an assessment. The letter has been received on November the 1st, so I cannot make an assessment. It can take some weeks. I think it could be highly likely it will be in the Q1 next year. But normally central bank doesn't give the deadline.
Thank you.
Anyway, whenever it will be, when the regulation will be released, we will do let's say the final setup of the system, because we will know which rules we will have to comply with. In principles, the scoring system and the platform is ready to operate it, but as you can imagine, our performance is to operate any transaction in few minutes, and this is possible. This will be possible only after we will have assessed the regulatory framework.
Morning, Simon Webb here, shareholder. Ask a couple of questions if I may. Before I do, thank you very much for holding this presentation. Greatly appreciated. First question, just on first questions on the app. Firstly, was the app built in-house or did you outsource that? And how's the app going to be managed going forward, outsourced versus internal? What's the feedback been like in the app stores on the app? Are you finding still a number of bugs that need resolving, or is it working quite well? I'll pause there, and I've got a couple other questions, not on the app.
So the app has been developed in-house. Of course, we have used some outsourcing, but basically everything we have is developed in-house, and that's the company's philosophy, and we will keep it. Also, the evolution of the app will be done in-house, unless we need some specific service that we can outsource. Sorry, can you repeat the second question?
What's been the initial feedback on, in the App Store, people review apps, etc. What's been the feedback from customers on the app?
Well,
bugs, etc.
The feedback is quite positive. We had like 45,000 downloads, and as I said in the presentation, what is important for us in this moment is the app working. The app is already generating an important flow of applications. So it's still early stage. We see a significant growth in the app in terms of operability and in terms of services that will add in. But the feedback at the moment is quite positive.
Great. Thank you. Could you expand further on your comment regarding your customer base not being particularly correlated to the macro situation in Russia? Is that something you've seen over a longer period of time? I would expect default rate to go up as into a recession or period of macro stress. Is that not what you've observed historically?
Correct. We have gone through two big crises as a company. The ruble crisis in 2014 and 2014-15, and COVID. Different crisis, different as a profile. As example, the first crisis was the ruble drops from 42 to 90 in 2 months versus euro and versus GBP. This turned into a raise of prices for most elementary, from food to everything else coming from Europe. But as well as in that time, and with COVID is completely different, because during the quarantine period, people were forced to stay home. So we didn't see a significant difference on the repayment attitude. People that our clients are people that live by their what they earn on their wages. So they are not influenced by what they are in their saving account. They are not influenced by the market evolutions. They just live on their wages, live on their salaries, and they use Zaim services for temporary urgent needs. So this is the key point, the key reason why our business is not affected. We had another evidence in the COVID, because COVID during the lockdown in Russia, people were forced to stay home, not for a long period as in Europe, a shorter period. And we thought that this could have affected the repayment attitude, but it didn't. At the end, it didn't. Probably they paid with some delay, because probably they couldn't work for some weeks, but then they go back and work and they repaid. So it's we have to say that we never know what the future can take, but the scoring assessment, the credit scoring assessment has always been extremely reliable.
Great, thank you. Final question from me.
Yeah.
In terms, so on one of the slides you shared the new services that you're targeting, including title loans and POS loans.
Yeah.
What's the roadmap or timetable for the introduction of those services? We've already spoken about buy now, pay later, but what's the timeline for the other two new lending services?
We are working on these things, and we expect to have let's say between Q1 and Q2 next year for these two title loan and POS loans. Buy now, pay later will depend from central bank. We are going to release a detailed agenda in January about all these two things. As I told you earlier, any improvement or any enhancement we do in our platform implies very tight integration with the compliance, with the scoring and all the IT platform. So we are working on this, but I think between Q1 and Q2 they will be both online. In January we will give an agenda.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Martin Harris, a private shareholder. Firstly, congratulations on the exceptional increase in your loan issuance this year. Clearly, you have to balance that against the higher default rates from the first-time customers and working capital requirements. Could you give us a flavour over the next couple of years how you're going to balance that mix? Are you going to continue to aggressively target new customers? And if so, can we kind of expect a 25% default rate going forward?
Interesting question. As I told you, we are already reducing the growth pace because we are increasing the profitability. So we will grow. We are creating a balance between growth and cash generation. I cannot make an assessment on future growth, as you can imagine, for compliance, but the cash generation is already quite good. So we can keep the growth at a lower pace. Keeping the growth at lower pace means, as a consequence, that we will reduce the research for new clients, and we will start we will improve the fidelization of existing clients, which are statistically much more profitable. And so that's the key for us to have a sustainable growth for the coming years. You will see we expect to show the highlights of the Q4, where all this philosophy will probably find materialization. About the default rate, it has been growing until the Q2. We haven't yet got the final results about Q3, but given the reduction of the growth pace, we expect that the default rate will soon go back below 20. Anyway, default rate doesn't mean unhealthy growth. Means that we are growing, and we have to manage the repayment of people that are not paying on time. We think that we will keep it lower than now, but I cannot make an assessment in terms of number now, but we expect it to decrease.
That's very useful. Thank you.
Good morning. I have a question about the new project that you will develop in the next year. Can do this project with your own resource, or you have to ask some resource from out of the company?
The new projects? We certainly know. Let's say that we have started. We are making an assessment by using an international MarTech company, especially for whatever is digital aspects and fidelization, fidelization of clients, and these other strategic items. The final synthesis, which is the integration of whatever strategy we will decide to do, will be done internally. But of course, we will source business intelligence outside because we need it. So we have already started with, as I told you, with the top 100 in the world. The name is Jacala. They are operating an assessment, and based on this assessment, the company, the board will make a strategy and an implementation. But again, the implementation and the will be done internally, always with the same mechanism. We consider ourselves a make company, so we want to have the control of our platform because we consider it our key competitive advantage. But of course, we will source ideas, solutions, best market practices. We are open, and we certainly buy outside.
Okay, thank you so much for the answer.
We're all very happy to be approached or emailed or set up another call if you have any questions, or even to be, if you want to introduce the story to anybody else. Any feedback is also very welcome as well. So we're always trying to, happy to make amendments to our communications or the way we are promoting or interacting with the market. So, we're a small company and very happy to interact with shareholders. So my point being, please don't hesitate to get in touch through our website, our email address, etc., the investor address, or myself or Sarah also have our addresses online too. So I think hand over to you, Ciro, and then we can wrap up. I'll have a recording of this available on the website at some point early next week or even over the weekend. So if you needed to share that, then you'd be more than welcome to once it's up there.
Okay. So a few words to thank you all for your time. I think that we will do this these webinars more frequently, probably in January after the December campaign, to have a view of the Q4, the first flavors at least. And whatever additional information, I'm always available. Thank you, everybody.